On Health Her Way, we're asking the questions you want answered about your body.
Together with our female healthcare experts, we're diving into the questions that might seem too scary, too silly, trivial, or taboo. No topic is off limits.
Join us as we talk about Health Her Way. Welcome to Health Her Way. I'm Brooklyn Elbert.
And I'm Meredith Cunningham, and we are here for round 2 of our recap episode. So basically what we're doing is taking our last several episodes over the last couple of months and talking about all the important things that we learned as our way to kind of wrap up 2025.
This was a good batch, I'd say.
It was a good batch, and we learned a lot of interesting things, and there were some common themes throughout each of our episodes. So the first one was hormones factor into all aspects of our health. We kept hearing that over and over again from our endocrinologist, from
Gut health episode.
gut health. Yes, all of them. Even our mood.
Yeah.
Talking to Kara about our mental health.
Yeah. And I think even the migraines episode too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically, hormones we learned are...
And the skincare episode.
That too. Yes. Because of acne and things. So basically, we learned that hormones are wonderful things that help our bodies do the things that they need to do. Mm-hmm. But they can also disrupt a lot of things as well. So that was a
love-hate kind of thing.
It is a love-hate. It's like, thank you for being here, but please only do what you were asked to do. So, and then something else that we kept hearing about was just like advocation for yourself, is that you know your body better than anyone else. So if you really think that something's wrong, it's okay to go to the doctor, and it's okay to talk about it and to have them help you figure out what's right and what's wrong. So those were a couple of common themes, but we're going to dive into each of our episodes now and bring up a couple of good points. Okay, disclaimer, we still want you to go and listen to each individual episode.
Yes.
There's so much more packed in that 20 to 30 minutes that we can go over in this short little recap.
This is just like Spark Notes, if you will.
Spark Notes to Health Her Way podcast.
Yes.
But let's start with Jordan Dalby. She talk to us about gut health, which I think if you spend any time on social media,
it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. And there's so many things about what you should or shouldn't do or what you should take. Or so she really helped us kind of dive into like the trendy things that are trendy but won't actually help us. And then also like the things that are actually really important. So one of the things that she says is that gut health is so important to so many different parts of your body, like your immune system. What was it, 60 or 70% of your
70%.
Your immune system lives in your gut. So what you're putting into your body is literally like, what did they say? Food is medicine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one thing she said is it all goes back to 3 main things: what you put in your body, your water intake, and just keeping moving.
Yes.
So.
And how many times have we heard those exact same 3 things from all of our physicians too, of like diet and exercise, sleep, and like great diet, you know?
It all goes back to your lifestyle.
Yeah. I say that as like because it almost is so simple the way that it gets broken down from all of our different experts. But I think it's one of those things, if you really analyze, like, okay, maybe you were moving houses and you don't have a kitchen and you don't have things. So you've been grabbing fast food or grabbing things from the store. Maybe you're not eating as much as you should be, not drinking as much water. Think about how you feel at the end of that like weekend.
Yeah.
You know, versus like how you feel after you have been eating your veggies and fruits and you have been drinking your water and things like that. It's just such a stark difference that I think a lot of us tend to ignore. But if we really like had some like perspective on it, we'd be like, oh, they're right.
Yeah. It's a lot more simple than it seems.
Yes.
But yeah, speaking of that, we did talk a lot about the trends.
Yes.
And there's so many going around. But I think at the end of the day, it basically comes down to, like she said, just eating healthy and taking a more natural approach to it, because all the good nutrients and things that you need can all come from your food. Yeah, like saying things like vitamins, like you don't really actually need those as long as you have like a healthy, well-rounded diet. Yeah. You get all of the vitamins that you need. Obviously talk to your doctor about like your specific needs. Some people may be low in one area or another, but for the most part, you don't necessarily need a multivitamin if your diet is full of these earth-grown healthy foods. So, you know, we talk a lot about our gut health and how much it affects, your immune system and things like that. So I'm actually going to skip ahead to another episode that we did with Aubrey Rodriguez, who basically helped us not gaslight ourselves. One of our biggest questions was, okay, like when you're sick, do you really need to go to the doctor? And
Aubrey says yes.
Yeah.
She says that it's okay if you are ill to go to the doctor. That is what she is there for. You shouldn't feel bad about like, oh, it's just a cold, or I took a test and it was nothing. It's just like whatever. She actually wants us to go and see her because one of the reasons is that fever could just be a cold or a flu, but it could lead to something more, like if you if you don't take the cold or flu seriously, it could lead to something like pneumonia. And then you're 10 times sicker than you were if you would have just gone to the doctor, got tested for the flu, maybe got some of that medicine that they give you for the flu. And then, you got over it. But instead we ignored the signs and symptoms, just said we'll push through it, which she says not to do.
Don't do that, yeah.
Yeah.
I think something she also said related to going to the doctor that was interesting is maybe don't go right when you have the first sniffle of your sniffly nose. Maybe give it like a day or a little bit for your symptoms to progress a little bit so they can better diagnose you and know what's going on.
Yeah, let it like actually settle in for a minute. Yes. And then she said too, like, especially when it came to like fevers, is like, I think a lot of us when we get a fever immediately think it's some kind of like virus or respiratory illness. But she was saying that a lot of her patients end up with like UTIs and have a fever with that, which like a UTI, God bless, I've never had one, but I've heard from a lot of our doctors and nurses that it is one of the most painful and like awful things that you can have or whatever. So she says that like if you're having some weird symptoms, like especially with a fever, come in and let her check you out because you might think it's this, but it could be something completely different. But that's like what they're there for.
Yeah. They want you to come see them.
They do. And so use them. Aubrey's great. We were so happy to have her on. She did a great job making us not feel so bad. So as we head into this respiratory season, go get your checkups, go to the doctor if you're not feeling well. So we were able to have Dr. Katie Henley, one of our neurologists, on again this half of the season. And I think the biggest takeaway from that episode is that Dr. Henley is a hot girl.
Yep. And the reason hot girls have migraines.
Yes, because hot girls have migraines. We talked about a couple of funny things is hot girls have stomach issues, hot girls have migraines. Well, Dr. Henley, the best thing about her treating her patients' migraines is that she's been there and done that. She also suffers from those. And so she's able to really get in the shoes of her patients and understand how they're feeling. And I don't know that I've ever had a migraine before. I've had a headache. I feel like all of us have. But she was explaining the difference between migraines and headaches. Like they are two different things. Headaches can be brought on by dehydration, by allergies, stress. But migraines are like so much more severe and they last a long time and they're like quite debilitating. People are so sensitive to light, to sounds. Sometimes all they can do is sleep. And I just don't think I realized how severe or debilitating they could be. So I think anything from that episode was a little bit of awareness and sympathy for those who suffer from those. So that was a big thing.
Yeah. We also learned about aura.
Yeah.
Not just vibes.
Not vibes, not from the things that I read in my books or whatever.
Yeah.
Auras are real.
Yeah. It's basically the early onset of a migraine. Like you start to see, I don't know, I've never had a migraine, so I can't really describe it, but weird like lights and stuff like that.
Like things aren't as sharp as they used to be. And Dr. Henley, who has experienced these herself, was telling us like how real they are and how it's like that first trigger of you're like, oh no, a migraine's coming because you start seeing this aura. And so that was quite, you want to hear the real description? Go to the episode and listen to it. Because she talks a lot about it. But I just think that was so interesting to hear that auras are real. But there are a lot of, we don't want to make it sound so bad. There are treatments for your headaches. There's definitely medication. That's probably one of the biggest things that I think she said that they do as doctors is give medication. We talked about things like Botox can help even. Sleep, I think she said sleep was a big one because you're quiet and your body's rested. So it can kind of just, I don't want to say heal itself, but reset itself. But we also talked about some like trends that we saw on the internet because, again, we should not be getting beyond this podcast, we should not be getting our medical advice from the internet. Although I think our legal disclaimer at the end also says this is not medical advice.
Well, call our great doctors that we have on the show.
Exactly. But she basically was saying that, like, look, if someone says stick your feet in ice cold water and then the next person says stick your feet in hot water, as long as you're not physically hurting yourself, maybe it's even the placebo effect. But if it helps your migraines and it's not hurting you, then try it. Whatever makes you feel better.
Yeah. And I think that's the case with, a lot of the trends we've talked about on episodes of all different kinds. Just if it's not harming you and, the placebo effect, then give it a try.
Because our mind is a tricky place.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that we've talked about with Kara Pepper. Kara's probably our number one.
Yes, I think, we've had her on 4 times now?
Yes, expert of the show. We had her on
now.
twice this half of the season.
Yes.
And we love our brains. We love our minds. They're such wonderful things. But we've also talked about how our brain can trick us a lot of times. And whether it's anxiety or making up problems or gaslighting ourselves into thinking things. But she's always given us some really good tips. And one of the episodes that we had her on, we talked about mental health and intimacy. And like any part of our relationships, friendships, coworkers, spouses, whatever it is, communication is so important.
Mm-hmm.
As to communication professionals, we have to agree.
Yeah, right.
As people who do this every single day, we also think communication is important. But what she was saying, and part of her episode, was that when you're having maybe intimacy issues, maybe you're just not in the mood and you're not having a good, and it's nothing that your partner's doing, but you are having a hard time communicating that. One of her biggest tips is A, communicate, but B, don't do it in the heat of the moment. Don't do it in that situation. Take that conversation outside of the bedroom. Wait till breakfast or something and be like, hey, we need to talk. I'm just overwhelmed right now. So this part of our relationship is unfortunately suffering, but we can get through it, And that was something else that she mentioned during the episode, is that a lack of intimacy, while extremely important, isn't like a death sentence.
Yeah, doesn't mean the world's ending.
Yeah, like relationships ebb and flow, and there are going to be moments where there are dry spells, and then there are going to be more intense moments. Like it's not steady forever in one scale, and so it's okay to have those ups and downs, but communicate to your partner and talk to them about, maybe what is stressing you out, or you're so busy right now, or you just had a kid and you're a little touched out at the moment. Mm-hmm. That's a big one for us moms, right?
She gave us a really great formula. I can't remember if it was this episode or one of the other episodes we did with her, but about communicating with your partner.
Yes, it was one of the first episodes that she said, I feel because I need, I think is exactly what it was.
So I need.
Yes. Yes. I feel this way because of this. So I need you to this.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a great formula that can be used in this.
Yeah. I think we've both used it since then.
Oh, yes. Even our coworkers have been like, hey, I had an argument with my husband the other day and I used this formula. And so she also reminded us that intimacy is not just about sex. It's about connection. And so, letting someone in when you're vulnerable, that's an intimacy. Just being, but also just like those little day-to-day interactions lead to those bigger intimate moments as well. So she reminded us that it's important to tell your spouse that they look good. I think she specifically said, tell your spouse they look hot.
Smack their butt in the kitchen.
Smack their butt in the kitchen. Yes. And it's like those little things that show them that you're engaged and that you're interested, and make those tiny connections. Because then if you don't, then it's even easier to feel disconnected when you're trying to have those bigger intimate moments. And so, yes, take Kara's advice, tell your partner they're hot, and smack their butt in the kitchen.
Yes. We had Kara on for another great episode this season too about holiday stress. And I know that's going to start applying more in the upcoming weeks and months. So we talked about financial pressures, family dynamics, just feeling burnout or overwhelmed and
even lonely. During the holidays.
Yes. So I think she had a lot of great advice during this episode. And honestly, one of the biggest things was just asking for help and not feeling like you have to do it all. She said when it comes to the holidays, she likes to think about it in 2 parts. So the first being, why are you doing this? Whether it be a family tradition, an event, hosting, anything like that. Is it bettering your family? Is it bringing you joy? And once you figure that out, you can think, if it is something you want to do, making sure that you are willing to ask for help and kind of delegate out some of those tasks, because we have the holidays, but we also have literal day-to-day life stuff that we can't just drop when the holidays come. So making sure we find good balance in it all.
And I think her whole point was to kind of express like joy during the holidays. It's supposed to be a time where you get to really focus with family and create these special memories and moments. And so many of us are so busy keeping up with the things that we think we have to do that we end up missing the whole point of the holidays, which is to spend time with your family and to be together. And so that's why she gave us those wonderful tips of like, why are you doing this? Is it actually important to you? And then, let someone help you. Y'all, we're women. We are the worst about it. And that's what she was kind of saying too, is that like, when are you willing to let go of something and know that it may not be done exactly the way that you want it to be done? I.e., our husbands, God bless their little souls. But if I ask my husband to wrap a present, it is not going to look the same. If I ask my husband to cook dinner, it's not going to taste the same, but that's where I have to be like, okay, well,
just let go.
Yeah. It's not okay. So what? If it's not, it was still wrapped with love just because it doesn't look picture perfect. But
you might see the tape everywhere, but it's wrapped.
Okay, you guys, I wish I could post like the pictures for you because I have gotten some of the most interesting wrapped gifts from my husband.
Yeah.
Foil, newspaper. Y'all, it's interesting, but again, it's done with love. So,
It's the thought that counts.
It's the thought, exactly. And that's the whole point of Carrie's episode of talking about the holidays is like, it's the thought and the intention that counts. Like, don't let all the little stuff ruin your holiday. And I think that's such a good reminder that a lot of us probably need. Y'all, put this episode on repeat like once a week during the holidays. So just constantly remind yourselves that
on your way to Black Friday shopping.
Yes, there are more important things out there. It's okay.
Yeah. They call it the most wonderful time of the year for a reason. So
to
keep it that way.
And it's not, she mentioned that it doesn't have to just do with Pinterest and stuff, but she mentioned family dynamics of that, maybe you get together with family and it's great, but not everybody always gets along. So that can be stressful. But also sometimes you're missing, maybe it's your first Christmas or holiday without a family member, or there's an estranged family member. So when you see people's pictures online of their happy family together, that might spark that loneliness part of it or whatever. And so she had some good tips for making sure, like, if social media is not bringing you joy, get off of it or filter it out, and but also understanding like everyone's family's dynamics are different.
Yeah.
We all have some struggles. We come both from divorced families, I'm sure our holidays look a lot different from when we were little, and stuff. And you make it work, but it's just she had some really great advice for just helping us not compare our situation to others. And again, focusing on the parts that like you really want to focus on, that I still have this family. Uncle Ted may drive me nuts with some of his opinions, but it's okay. It's one day.
And if you're too busy for Elf on the Shelf,
don't do it. Don't do it. I'm not going to do it. You guys, if you need a spokesperson for not doing Elf on the Shelf, I am happy to be that person for you.
I didn't have it when I was a kid, and I'm perfectly fine.
You know what my family did? If you need a tip, though, this is one thing my dad did do. He took a boot, stuck it in flour, and then like made footprints that made it look like Santa. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh, that's cute.
And I remember that to this day. That was probably, we are not talking about how many years ago that was, but I still remember it. So like.
We used to do the reindeer food with the oatmeal.
Yeah. Like you can find other little moments that do not take nearly as much of your time as your elves do. So yeah. That's our personal tip for the holidays. We had a couple of episodes this season with some really trendy topics on it. And one of them was Chastity, who came on to talk to us about our skin health. Now, we had Stacy on first half of the season, and she talked about skin health when it comes to like damage and skin cancer. We leaned a little more into the aesthetics this time because that's also really important and something you see and hear a lot from friends or social media that may not necessarily have the right information or advice. So like when it comes to Botox, fillers, like what kind of washing routine should you have? What are all these different chemical peels and facials and different things? And so there's so much information. It was a very long episode. I really do recommend that if you are into that kind of stuff, go listen to the full episode. It has so much great information in it.
This is just a little funny note. We had someone come up to us. I guess they listened to the episode, and she was like, I'm so sad. I started using the beef tallow and I love it. And Chastity said, do not use that.
Nope.
But yeah.
That's like the perfect example of why we have these conversations, though. It's because the beauty industry is like a multi-billion-dollar industry, right? And so people are constantly telling us things we need or have to have, when in reality, they're just trying to maybe
Make a dollar.
make a dollar or you know, so what is the right information? And so going to like a medical skincare person was really important. And that's why we wanted to kind of like really break down all these trends and different procedures, because you don't want to go spend a bunch of money that's not going to help you.
I will say, if there's one thing that you take from this episode, it is wear your sunscreen. Wear it every day on your face, your neck, your hands if you can,
Your
rain or
arms,
shine.
yeah.
It'll really help you in the long run. And she said start that early because it can prevent sun damage, wrinkles, aging.
And most importantly, skin cancer.
Yeah,
Because that's
I was
what
gonna
Stacey
say.
reemphasized, or, you know, Stacey said it during her episode and then Chastity repeated it during hers, is that it will help so much. And they've done all those studies. I'm sure y'all have seen pictures where they'll be like, this driver of a truck and his arm that was in the shadow versus his arm that was in the sun constantly, and how different they look. But
And for us girls, the nail salon, the UV light.
Yes.
She said wear sunscreen when you're going to the nail salon. Or
yes. And you and I have talked about this before. Something we're always really bad about is like that middle part in your hair and not putting sunscreen
I
in
just
there.
got done peeling from being burnt when I went to the beach.
Yes. I mean, but you forget about it, but it's still a very visible part of your skin. And so, you know, we think face, we think maybe ears, like you said, neck, chest, arms, anything that is getting daily sunlight.
Yeah.
Because not only is it going to protect you from skin cancer, but again, aesthetically, it's going to help you not age as much and not wrinkle as much and not have sunspots. And so that was really important. Something that she also mentioned, which I think is like really trendy right now too, is that less is more. What was it, like 5, 6, 10 years ago? Like the trend was to put on like pounds of makeup and you had every false eyelash and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And the whole point of having really good skin is to show it off. And so like when you have a good skincare routine, when you've made your skin, your base look beautiful, you don't really need anything more than a tinted moisturizer or a tinted sunscreen, and you can go about your day. And as I get older and my time gets a little more precious, I love a simplified routine.
We asked her what her basically non-negotiable skincare products were too, and she said, again, less is more there. So she said a sunscreen, a face wash, a retinoid, vitamin C, and then either moisturizer or hyaluronic acid if you're dry. I took that one with me. I've been on a skin journey. So after that episode, I kind of threw away some of the extra products that I was just slapping on my face every night and just made it simple.
You know, what I think is really funny is that we mentioned to her a double cleanse. And she looked at us like we were nuts. And then we had one of her coworkers is sitting here behind the scenes with us. And it was funny because we all kind of disagreed on it. Like, I'm a big double cleanser, but I will say, ever since she said that, I only double cleanse if I'm wearing a lot of makeup.
Yeah.
Like, today, I put on a lot of makeup for the podcast, you guys. It's like stage makeup over here,
Yeah,
okay?
right.
So I'll probably double cleanse tonight. But like on other days when I'm just wearing my tinted sunscreen, I'm like, okay, less is more, says Chastity. We'll just do the face wash instead. And not having any problems. So she had some good advice. You know, and we did talk about we talked about so much during that episode, but one of the biggest things we talked about too was like Botox, because Botox can be used both medically and aesthetically. We already mentioned earlier in this episode that Botox can be used for migraines or headaches. It can be used for like TMJ in your jaw. It can be used like if you sweat too much.
Yeah.
It can be used for like helping your traps and things if you're a little too tense. And then obviously, of course, it has some
Aesthetic.
beauty benefits of, you know, my forehead hasn't moved in a couple of years. Just kidding. So we talked about the pros and cons of both using it for medical reasons and aesthetic reasons. And then again, of course, we jumped in a little bit more about like, well, what's filler and how does that help? And where do you use these certain things? And it was a really great episode. I know a lot of you guys have listened to it. It's one of our most listened to episodes. Although it wasn't our most listened to episode of this half of the season. That one goes to Dr. Undamatala, who's our endocrinologist. And what did she talk about, Brooklyn?
Oh, the GLP-1.
Yes. Okay. But I love that you guys listened to that episode and that it was one of our most listened to. I think it's our number 2 for the entire year.
Yeah.
We really dove into like the history of the GLP-1s and how these have actually been around for a decade or more. And they were used for diabetes patients to control diabetes. And so they're actually been around for a long time.
Yeah. I think she said they've been using them in her practice 10 years.
Yeah.
Or maybe overall 10 years for
Yes.
diabetes.
So that way, they actually have a lot of good information and research on it. And that's helpful because while it's very new and trendy to most of us, our providers actually do know how they work and the benefits of them. And so that's a little bit comforting, for sure to know that. But she also she gave us a little bit of a hard truth at the very beginning of the episode. And she basically said, for those who are not diabetic, but maybe are looking for a GLP-1 for weight loss, do some really honest assessment of your life. She was talking about when she was in, was it residency? And she was running around the hospital and she got 15,000 steps a day. And then working in the clinic, it was more like 2, unless she was really intentional about getting more. Like you have to look at your activity levels, you know, and how much are you really moving during the day? Because I think a lot of us like to blame, we're getting older, it's our hormones, because we can blame everything on our hormones, we've learned.
Yeah.
But she really wanted to start the conversation with kind of like a little bit of like introspection. Is that the right word? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Let's talk about this. Let's change our verbiage here. She really wanted us to reflect on our actual activity level. Diet and things like that. You can't say, oh, no, I eat great. And then you're like, but I ate 4 donuts this morning. Maybe not as great as I thought I was doing. So, but after that, then you can have a really good conversation with your doctor about whether these are right for you. And something that I thought was interesting is that how she kind of said, like, once you're on them, though, you kind of have to stay on them.
Yeah. So she mentioned that they really want to focus on gradual weight loss. Like I think she said 1 or 2 pounds a week, maybe. I can't remember exactly. So refer back to the episode for that. But basically that rapid weight gain isn't very good because when you're losing all this weight, you're also losing a lot of your muscle at the same time. So you want to make sure it's progressive and gradual and not just all at once.
Yeah. And, some people, will say, oh, I got off of it and I gained all the weight back. I think that's what she was trying to say. Like when it happens so rapidly is that your body doesn't have time to adjust to having that weight off. And so if you do it more gradually, it kind of helps reset the whole tone of everything. And so that's important. Again, you need to talk to your medical provider about your specific situation because every single person is going to be different. And, she wants you to do it the right way. There can be some side effects. We did talk about those. I think
the big thing is if you have certain underlying medical conditions.
Yes.
Stay away from them.
Yeah. So she's really great about all of that information. And so go listen to that one. Again, it's literally like one of our most listened to episodes and so interesting. If you are considering one or know someone that is on one or just want to know more because it's a conversation that people are having these days. It's a great episode to go listen to. But that is not the only time she was here either.
It is not.
She also came to talk to us in general about what is our endocrine system, which Brooklyn and I both walked into that episode going, look here, girlfriend, we don't know what this is. We've worked in healthcare for years, and yet the endocrine system is still a mystery. So she really helped clarify a lot of things for us.
Yeah, she really helped us learn a bunch of stuff. And basically your endocrine system is all about your hormones, like we've talked about a few times in this episode, and just making sure everything stays balanced. And she said, for the most part, your body does a pretty good job of making sure everything's kind of in tune, but it can be thrown off. And what I thought was interesting is we talked a lot about, again, what you put in your body, eating, drinking, but also environmental factors. And she said that women are more exposed to bad chemicals and things, basically just because we use more daily products than men. And that can be anything from our perfumes, makeup, our menstrual products, which we use once a month for a week, and also our cookware.
Brooklyn and I, we love this podcast. We were talking the other day about like, oh, I look so pale right now. I need to use my self tanner. But I literally said, no, Unda Matala was telling us that like all this stuff or it's just extra. So if like, okay, yes. Do I love being pale? No. Should I have worn an all white outfit now that we're heading into the winter season? Probably not. But she helped us remind ourselves like, okay, maybe perfume needs to be for like special occasions, not every day.
Yeah.
Maybe the self tanner needs to be for those special occasions, not every day. Just like really evaluating how much and we're putting on our bodies constantly, and how that's going to affect us. And maybe not right now, but in the long run.
Yeah. And even she said it's impossible to avoid, but just making sure that you're being cautious about it. And
Just
there's a
being
bunch
aware.
of products now that brands are making clean. And so that's a good alternative.
Yeah, especially those menstrual products and things and the cookware.
Yeah.
And we just did a big cookware purge like last year and got
same.
got rid of a
The
lot of
other
our
day, I was
stuff and
throwing stuff out.
done. Well, you're moving. It makes sense.
Yeah. True.
But one of those things that we also talked about, we talked about pregnancy and how some of these issues can like develop and how they either resolve or kind of like when we talked about with Dr. Houston earlier in the year about like, here are problems that you have during pregnancy. They may resolve, but always give you a higher risk for something later in life.
I think they call it nature's stress test on the body.
It is a stress test. It is very much a stress test. And guess what? I survived and lived to tell the tale about it. But something else she talked about that is super trendy right now is cortisol. You hear it all the time. Oh, you can't do this. You have this mom pooch. You can't sleep, whatever. You're waking up at 2 a.m. It's your cortisol. And it's like, well, hold on real quick.
She even said that cortisol has been vilified by social media, basically.
Yes. She does have ways to test to see if cortisol, and it can. She gave us an example of a patient that it did cause a lot of problems in. But she worked with her and it's all better now. But you should be taking your advice from your doctor, not from the internet when it comes to cortisol. And if you really think that's the problem, then fine, talk to your doctor about it. But some nightly drink or a powder or whatever is not going to fix your issue.
Yeah. And she even said that cortisol naturally changes levels throughout the day. So when you wake up in the morning, your cortisol is higher and then it slowly fades out through the day. So you'll basically be tired and ready for bed at the end of the day when your cortisol is lower. Yep. And also something she mentioned is that stress can spike your cortisol.
Correct.
So
I do think things are funny though. Like when you see them on the internet and it's like, sorry, my body can't tell the difference between like being chased by a bear and like having to give a speech or something.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
That's literally me. I hate speaking in public.
Okay, you know what's really funny? I also hate speaking in public. Yeah. But you know what it is? We sit here and stare at the screen and pretend that all of you guys think that we are just so brilliant and smart and funny.
Do they?
They do. They absolutely do. Whereas in person, you can see everyone's face, and that's more stressful for sure. I feel like we need to bring Kara back on to talk about that.
Just public speaking.
Yeah, public speaking and its stressfulness. But anyway, back to cortisol. It is a real thing, but probably not as much as social media is playing it out to be. And so if you really think you have a problem, of course, talk to your doctor about your issue. So it was a really good episode.
Yeah, there's one other thing that I do want to mention that I thought was interesting that she said. She said that your menstrual cycle, like a change in your menstrual cycle, is the first sign that something is thrown off or like something's changing in your body. So I thought that was kind of interesting as a woman.
You know, it goes back to these hormones and things.
Yep.
It's a love-hate relationship. But but it goes back to our first point of the episode too. You know your body better than anyone. Yeah. So you know what's normal and what's not, and how long your period lasts, how severe it is, when it should come, if it has a schedule or not.
Yeah.
You know, and so that was good advice too, because I think a lot of us can probably, I don't know, before I had a kid, I could live and die from my like timer. I could tell you like what minute of the day my period would start. Well, see, but everyone's body's different and you know yours versus mine. And so that's a good advice that if something's off there, then
look to your period. I'm just kidding.
How often do we say that? Look to your period for guidance. Yeah. Although, you guys, how many times does it make sense though? Maybe we're a little more irritable or tired or hungry or something, and you're like, what is going on? And then you're like, period.
Yep.
Yeah. So honestly, it probably is a good guide for us. So we had a really great year of Health Her Way.
We did.
A lot of wonderful experts on some beautiful humans that helped us understand our bodies a little bit better.
We hope it helped you too.
Of course. That's why we're here, is to help all of you. So listen to all the episodes, share this information with those you love, And we do have a small announcement. This is our last episode for 2025. We will be back in 26. We are revamping a little bit, so stay tuned for more exciting details to come. As always, we want to hear from y'all though. So tell us what you find interesting, what you need more clarification about, how we can help you with this podcast, learn more about your body.
Yeah.
So
There's so much we could dig into,
so much.
let us know.
Send us a DM on Instagram, Covenant Health. Send us a Facebook message if you so choose. There are many ways to get a hold of us, and so we'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your 2025. Happy holiday season. Happy New Year.
Yep.
We will see you.
That's crazy.
I know. I can't
No
believe
way.
it either. We will see y'all in 2026. Thanks for watching.
This podcast explores health-related topics with experts in their specialty for entertainment purposes only.
The information shared and discussed should not be considered as medical advice under any circumstance and is not intended to replace professional medical advice.
The views expressed do not reflect the views of Covenant Health System. For questions related to your personal health, always contact your physician.